Hi everyone. So I have here a copy of the final version of Micro Midgard that was sent by the factory. So this is exactly how the game is going to be shipped to backers. Assuming there's no mistakes or errors that I find through this unboxing, which is sometimes the case, as things get translated or confused during the production process. So this is really my chance to have a look, share you my impressions of the game, and fingers crossed, everything will be fantastic and looking great inside and will be ready to be shipped out very soon. So here we have the Ragnarok edition version of the game with this gorgeous logo on the front done by David, the artist. And we have the sides of the box with various combinations depending on how you want to store it, of the logo, the player count, the time, and so on, depending on how you like to store your games in the shelf. And on the back, we have our layout, the descriptions. It's very similar to what's on the standard edition, with a little reminder here that the travel-sized or standard Micro Midgard and the Yggdrasil expansion is included. So let's get this opened up. There's a tiny little bit of what we call box lift here, which is where the lid doesn't quite go all the way down flat with the box. This is sort of by design. I believe that this is because of the punch board and the rulebook thickness. And once the punch board is done and the pieces popped out, this should fit nicely. But let's see how it is once I've got to pop out all the pieces. So I'll take the plastic off. You guys will be getting to do this very clean, I hope. And let's see what we've got inside. So top layer, here's the rulebook. This is the first time doing a large-scale rulebook like this. And actually, it's difficult when you're doing digital design to see how is this going to look when it comes out final. But this I'm actually quite happy with. The sizing looks good, nice and clear to read. The frames look nice. This is our reference at the back. And that's everything. So this is our proper full-size rulebook here. Folding very nicely. And the punch board here. This one's a little smaller than the box size, but the sizing I think looks correct. So these are our tokens, front and back. I'm going to punch these out and you'll see where they go in a little bit as I unpack everything else. Let's press these out now. Some people love this part of the new game, getting to punch out the pieces. I don't like it. I usually hand this over when I have a new game to someone else to say, hey, do you want to punch out the pieces? And there's almost always someone at Game Giant that says, yeah, let me do it. I love it. So let's get all these in. That's it. That's all the punching that needs doing. So we have our score track here with the nice recessed pieces. And this is recessed pieces. And this is where the prophecy tokens are going to fit in, depending on your game. And the Ragnarok tokens will fit nice and snug in here. So they're sized really nicely to fit into the spaces. And our scoring track, a little different for the Ragnarok edition. Then we have our various blessing boards, and this one is actually the board for Loki for the single player mode. So we have our blessing boards. These are going to have the cards fit inside. And these are the cards that will fit. Now, again, there's a little bit of perhaps lift here as we've packed all the cards in. But for storage, the way you would probably keep this in storage is to have this tucked in here. This one I have here, this is Rakatosca. So this is actually one of the Yggdrasil expansion large cards. So there's a few more than you would have seen with the review copy now that these are done. And also, Loki now has two different versions depending on the difficulty. So again, Loki's card will go in here. Let's see. And that's Loki with a little green dot showing that it's on the easy mode. So there are blessing cards. Here's the board. This looks like a nice fit here. Actually, the review copy was a little bit too small, so this is increased in size just a tiny amount. And they are our double-sided realms. One thing that's also been added with this final version for the alternate realm side is a little star on here just to let you know this is the alternate side. So you have your basic game And then if you want to play with a slight variation, you can flip these over onto the other side. So that's our lovely Ragnarok Edition board. Then in here we have the wooden pieces. So we have our discs with the new blessing icons on, and these are all very similar to the quality and everything is very similar to the review copies, which was looking good. Our nice wooden resource tokens, and our wooden meeples with the new ones that won't have been seen. We've had the two different variants of Rastoska, Nidhogg, and Vedfulnir here. So including the Yggdrasil expansion for the Deluxe Edition, or the Ragnarok Edition, I should say. And our solo cards, these have had a very small change, if I can open them. These are actually the same ones that you'll get in the standard edition, but just a small change here with a reminder for where to move from Midgard, a little tiebreaker. You'll also see that the icon has changed. So we now have the Loki symbol indicating the track and the focus instead of what was originally had the wolf symbol. And then hidden in the bottom here, we have the standard edition of Micro Midgard, which comes with all of the Ragnarok Edition versions of the game. Now, this tray was originally had these little recesses around the side to store all of your wooden components and things. And we found during the production that actually, because of the way this this mold gets sort of like vacuum made, that these holes wouldn't really work. So we've got this new design here where the tray is a little bit deeper, and it lets you store your wooden and your cardboard pieces in here with the board going on top. So everything should fit in the box nice and snugly. So now here's our standard edition of the game. I'm going to move this to one side. I'm actually really happy with this insert. I love games with custom inserts, and it was kind of fun designing this one. Went through about 4 or 5 iterations to get everything to fit inside, but really lovely when we can have a game, for me personally, when a game has this nice insert, nice organizer. So super happy we got to get that into the box. So onto the standard edition. One thing I learned from Micro Dojo was these boxes can be a little bit fiddly to open, so we have a nice cut in the side here to make it really easy to open. So same artwork that you've seen before now, and with our scoring track on the inside. And just to flip this over onto the back side, you'll see very similar to the back of the box for the Ragnarok Edition. We have our rulebook, just as it was with the review copies. The only addition to it here is some extra pages to fit in. Oh, actually, they're not here. I think the the Yggdrasil expansion rulebook is separate. So we have our small, our little meeples and our discs. So move this to one side. Our blessing cards. One thing I noted during the playtests that we had and during some of the demos at UK Games Expo was for the first game, especially if you've not played Micro Dojo, it can feel like there's quite a lot going on. So there's now reference cards that give you an overview of the turn and a reference to what some of the actions do. Also included on the back here, which is new since the review copies were made, is this advanced movement module. So this advanced movement module is included in the rulebook on Ragnarok Edition and on the back of the cards here. If you've played Micro Dojo, you'll be familiar with this. Essentially, you can play with this optional module to add some extra, let's say, personalized abilities to each of the meeples, where you pay a small cost and you move them in a unique way. So Odin can move to and from Asgard, whether even that link is severed by Ragnarok, whether a realm's been destroyed, or whether it's somewhere disconnected, Odin can move there. Angerboda can share a space with the other meeples. Brock and Sindri can move to any realm with a craft action. So this will just add a little bit more tactical play at the cost of resources to the game. And then we have our lovely little blessing cards here. We have the solo mode cards. And here we have, in a separate pouch, is the Yggdrasil expansion for those of you that have ordered it. So this will have a little separate rulebook. So just a couple of pages here with a reminder about how to set it up, which is essentially using the alternate form of the meeples and their blessings. We have the 4 meeples again that come with the expansion and their blessing cards. So now onto the punch board that's in here. There has been a change. Let's see if we can get these all out. So there has been a change to the board. So the original design to fit everything in for manufacturing, the original design had this sort of spoke system that you see with the Ragnarok Edition board. So imagine this without the bottom layer, and the tiles would just flip over to the destroyed side. So we had this sort of spoke and slice system. Now to get that to fit on a smaller punch board for printing and to fit all of the components, we had a fold along the middle, which made great sense in manufacturing, but when it came to actually playing with it, that board was quite flimsy. It left this nasty sort of fold line down the middle, and it didn't quite sit flat on the table. So although a good system from the point of view of printing, didn't actually work in practice. So instead, we now have these separate pieces, which they punch out very easily, with a sort of jigsaw puzzle type of connector. One of the big challenges was trying to find a way where the pieces would fit, where even if they flipped over, once a realm gets destroyed, they still stay on, they still connect to the other pieces. And originally I was thinking everything needs to be symmetrical because you might want to randomize the realms, but actually as the game developed, I'd stuck with that idea of needing to randomize. However, the game doesn't really support that because we might have a situation where, we've scored or we have 4 destroyed realms on one side, or there's ways that meeples can get blocked and so on. So actually, because there's no need to randomize the realms, you can create the realm pieces in this nice little jigsaw puzzle way, and that way, even when one flips, they will still connect nicely to the neighbor. And that also means we now have this nice little individual Midgard piece to stick them together. We came up with this idea, and the factory created a sort of a prototype, what we call a white sample, which is just a cutout of the white pieces, but hadn't actually had a chance to play with this physically and see how it feels. So the main thing for me is that these pieces all fit together nicely, which they do, and stay as one piece, which I think as they're always going to be around this central Midgard piece, we now have a nice, easy board that we can move around. And when we need to flip a piece over, we simply flip over Svartalfheim, and the game can continue. So really happy with this board. So that's it for the unboxing. I'm going to spend a little bit more time going through all the components, checking everything is correct, everything is printed right, that the colors look good and all of this. And then fingers crossed, we'll have a final copy out to you very, very soon. Thanks for watching.